Marco, what's up, buddy?
How are you?
How you doing? Welcome to
Well.
today. Hello.
Well, thank you. Welcome to Tuesday as well.
Oh, I didn't say Tuesday. I said today.
Today. Okay. Welcome to today.
But I do have in one of my notes, in one of my notebooks, for some reason, I guess I said it once and it cracked me up, so I wrote it down. I said, "Oh, did you say today? I thought you said Tuesday." Like, oh, you wanted me to do that today? I thought you were saying for me to do that on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. It was some miscommunication I must have had with somebody at some point. To make it in my notebook, it would have had to have been something I thought was kind of funny.
At the time, yeah.
Here's a quick thing. I don't really ever do too much, as I don't do a huge like introduction to whoever the guests are, because I listen to lots of podcasts. If I clicked on the episode, the person's name was right there in the title of the episode. Why do I have to go, welcome now, this guest? Or like a bit, maybe even like sometimes a build up to it. and maybe I screwed up too by by putting my own name in the name of my show, because like when people introduce me, they go, "He's the host of Evolving with Cory Kastle. This is," and they're like, "Oh yeah, of course he's gonna say Cory." He already blew the pop that you're gonna get for your name,
Right.
So
kind of like the intro is like also like the discussion. It's like, hey, here's who he is, or who they are, and we'll get into that.
Well, I mean, we could not.
Right.
I mean, look, we're just sometimes it's just hanging out with my friends, sometimes it's just catching up, or maybe getting to know somebody a little bit better, and just vibing,
Right.
So it can be all different kinds of things. It doesn't have to be any interview or any segmented out thing. Like I don't normally ever pick topics, or I have a few things that are like my set questions I normally ask, but that's not something that drives the whole show. It'll get there when it gets there.
Mm-hmm. It's better though. It's more spontaneity.
Indeed. What does that word mean?
Spur of the moment spontaneity.
I'm kidding.
It turns to Webster's. Okay.
well, let me Google that real quick. No, man. I learned that word from Mitch Hedberg.
Really?
Yeah.
His old bit.
It was on one of his CDs. He was like, he said something. He like did something like improv something, and he said like, "Oh, an applause break out over my spontaneity." Whatever. He's like, "I don't." Yeah, he was like, "Yeah." So he had another thing too, where he would say, nobody ever talks about how buoyant, how much limes have buoyancy. He's like, if I was drowning, I'd grab a lime. Those motherfuckers are buoyant.
Man, he's been going a while too, right?
Yeah, what's up?
He's been going a while.
I think it was 2005.
Almost 20 years now. Yeah.
And I found out, and I say this all the time. I tell this story to tons of people, but it was April Fool's Day when I found I guess he died the day or so before that, but I found out on April Fool's Day, and I did not believe it.
Right. It's one of
that's every comedian's dream, to die and have you not believe it. You think it's an April Fool's joke because it's on April. Every comedian should aim to die right at April Fool's Day. So, like, had ya?
Yeah.
always over tagging just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
So I want to say, before we really get into the questions part of it, I want to say how happy I am to have met you, and I want to make sure that you feel welcome and you feel safe and you are ready to just kind of not stress about saying the wrong stuff or whatever. And you know, and for sure, it's like this is something I'm usually wanting to make sure that when you speak to me, I'm going to be listening to you.
Right.
Like I want whoever the guests are to feel safe in that, in welcome, in knowing that they're like a actual guest, a welcome guest. Because a lot of times you go on a podcast or you go listen to a show, and it'll be like, so now and it says here that you wrestled this person in this time, and then you'll hear them. This happened to me a lot before, like before virtual so much, before everything was so easily like right there in front of you. When I would, like, some of them we'd have to call in or whatever, and you could tell they're definitely not listening to you, and you could tell that they're definitely not like attentive to any of their. And I was just like, yeah, I don't want that happening at all. There's a whole lot of stuff where it came to me wanting to start something. I wanted it to be something I'd want to hear.
Right.
And I for sure don't want to hear somebody not listening to somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. They're just waiting to get to the next segment or the next question. And yeah.
Are you done?
Exactly.
I was talking. You just
right there with
you. So tell me about some acting stuff that you've been up to. You doing anything recently? I know, because we talked a little bit about it when we met.
I just actually today I just booked another commercial coming up for the end of June. That's primarily what I've been doing, is like commercial work, especially now with the writer's strike. Like there's I don't want to say it's selective or like few and far between, but it's been kind of just staying in my niche as far as like what's been working until the writer's strike, sorts itself out. But no, I have two national commercials that just aired, that are airing now actually on television. It's something that's really opened my eyes, believe it or not. I've been doing acting. Actually, today was my first commercial aired on television 6 years ago today, which is kind of cool now that I think about it. But I realized also in that I never really went like full steam ahead with it. Like I never like just dropped everything and said, this is exactly what I'm going to give my all to and put everything into, because I've had so many other things, in school at the time, DJing, like the number of things that I was doing or still do. And then I realized just in this past, I want to say 2 months, like it's just been eye-opening to say, like, I really have the potential to do this. Like I can go further with this. And most importantly, I enjoy this. So it's like to see the work coming to life and, the efforts actually playing out and getting the callbacks and getting the bookings. It's like, yeah, like this can happen. Like it's one of those like epiphany moments.
That's awesome. That's so cool, man. That's awesome. That I never really had that. That's really awesome that you're getting the auditions and the callbacks all right back to back right away. That's cool, man. I think when I was doing auditions, man, they were flat every time. I stunk at auditions.
But and it's stuff like that. Not to cut you off, but it's stuff like that, like the way we talk to ourselves. And I think I've said too, like the best thing about doing this is not knowing or not expecting. Like I can put 100 takes into an audition, 100 attempts. And then I can like dissect it and say, oh, this one sucked, or I'm not good, or I don't feel it. But it's like, you never know. Like you really never know what it is they're looking for, what it is they're asking for in terms of the look or whatever. Right. And I'm just, just put it out there.
Sometimes it's you don't learn that lesson till you're on the casting side of the table, and you're reading, you're like having somebody read for something that you wrote. And you're trying to go like, does this person fit the mold that I was picturing? Could I see this person being that character that's sacred to me, that means something to me.
Yeah. Can they bring it to
And
life? Yeah.
can this person actually bring to life what I imagined this character to be when I was writing this part?
Mhm.
And I didn't get that until I was on the other side of the table. And I think when I was doing casting stuff, I, for some reason, even though I didn't ever get anything good out of auditions. Not to say that I never got auditions, but
Mhm.
or never got parts, but I didn't get the best stuff that I was offered. Because I was probably really arrogant. I was real cocky, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm perfect for this part." Like, oh, I read the breakdown, and I fit it to a T. This person's gonna see me and be like, "Oh, marketability, ooh, whoa," and I, what a twisted way to kind of look at it.
And
And
that's for me. That's one reason why I excuse me. That's why I guess you could say I started late bloomer, as they say. Like I always had the knack for it. Like I always felt like I would see myself on stage or in something in that realm. But I didn't get started until my 30s. Like
mhm.
I didn't pursue it, I should say, until my 30s. And realizing in that, just like you said, like my 20s, teenage years, like that sense of arrogance, that sense of
Mhm.
entitlement or false sense of entitlement that like, they're gonna pick me anyway, or they should pick me. And if they don't, they're stupid, or whatever, like, the arrogance that would, portray that. But now that I'm older, I remove all expectation and I just, okay, I didn't get picked. I get rejected every day. Something I auditioned for maybe a couple days ago and I don't hear back. I get rejected every day.
Yeah,
And I'm
but
grown accustomed to it.
I think that way to look at it is maturity that comes with experience in other things too. When it comes to just life experience, and it comes to being able to remove your own ego from certain things and be like, oh, it just wasn't right for that time.
Mhm.
Like that was, and instead of like beating ourselves up constantly
Which I
and
would do,
being
yeah.
like, dude, I think the majority of people do that.
Hmm.
Honestly, I think a lot of people waste so much time beating themselves up for mistakes that their past self made,
Yeah.
and they're losing their current self to that old memory of it,
Yeah.
and kind of resenting the circumstances in which didn't get them whatever they thought they were going to get.
Yeah.
Um, and you know what, that kind of cracks me up too. Now I'm thinking about it when I would just I would put in minimal effort, but I'd have maximum expectations. So I
Hmm.
would go like, oh well, maybe I didn't do that good at that audition, but then I'd be like, oh, when this part happens, I'm gonna have so much fun on the set of this thing, and have all the expectations for what it's gonna be like shooting this thing, because like being on set and excuse me, and like acting and
Hmm.
being around these people who you're making new friends with these people, or you're participating in stuff with some of your old friends, just
Yeah.
people that you've known. And
Hmm.
that stuff can kind of like light you up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's like the fun parts of it all. But
You gotta
you
book it. That's the
yeah,
thing.
you got to book it before you
Yeah.
start spending the royalty checks, buddy.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I learned that too. Like it was humbling early on because I said to myself, again, being older, I said, I have no problem with the money part of it. Like I'll do the free gigs or the low paying gigs just to get my feet wet, just to decide what it is I want to do, or even if I want to do this, going forward. Like, is this just something I'm trying in passing, or like what can it be? But then, yeah, once you get on set and you realize, like, yeah, I could do this, and you start networking and you start meeting people, the right people, and it was really rewarding in that way. And now, like I said, in these past 6 years, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't want to say I wish I did it sooner, but I wish I would have taken myself more serious in that time. In that I maybe could have you know made a little bit more of a conscious effort rather than just take it as it comes.
Mhm. Yeah, the I have been saying probably to myself all day, like, oh, oh, things are different this time because we're more aware this time, or
Mhm.
I'm more conscious this time of, what patterns I'm falling into, and
Mhm.
all those types of things that, like, it amazes me that I didn't recognize those things before, but I
Mhm.
can't afford to beat myself up over that stuff
For real, yeah.
because I'm a different person. I,
Yep,
I,
exactly, yeah.
I, I, I started working as a bar back, uh, and recently the security guard at the bar was like, "Hey, did you used to wrestle?" And I was like, "Yeah, I still do, but I
Mhm.
used to too." Uh, that's a Mitch Hedberg joke, but but
Promote it.
then he was like, "Oh, you know this girl," and it was a girl who it's kind of almost like a family member to me, but like we used to date back in the day, and I don't even think about that part of it at
Mhm.
all. And then she was like living with this dude, and I became friends with that dude, and he was a tattoo artist, and he did tattoos on me, and I was showing this kid that, like, her boyfriend did that for me, and he was like, was that weird for you? And I was like, no,
Yeah.
because I guess he knew who I was because of that
Right.
relationship. And I was like, yeah, I don't think of it that. I mean, I, if I lived in 2010 version of me, things would be way different. I mean, I would be a completely different person if I held on to stuff that happened in 2010, or like even try to like live there, and I don't even need to visit any of that,
Yeah.
any of those memory. Like, I'm completely different person than I was back then,
Yeah.
and not even for a second do I. Not even for a second do I like, oh, this is weird. That's it. I mean, people are people.
Yeah. You don't catch yourself dwelling from time to time?
No, not really. No,
No, I mean, not dwelling. I should say, like,
like
in
regret.
hindsight, like you might, dwell back and say back in 2012 as opposed to what I'm doing now, and like seeing your growth or acknowledging, like,
Oh, yeah, I'll do it in a grateful way. Yeah, just
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Like you were saying, like where I'll be like reflecting back on what I what I used to want and what I didn't have back then,
Hmm.
to compared to like what I have now and what I wanted then versus what I want now.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff in it. It's kind of like a counting my blessings type of thing.
Yeah, and having the attitude of gratitude, as they say. It's just because it's interesting too. I think of that too, like stuff even like that 2010, 10 years ago, 2012, whatever. And it's
Right.
like I can remember, like, I was craving or wanting or desiring, like I had to have this or whatever it was, and now I look back and I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, did I really even need that? Like, it's just funny now because like you can like to reflect that way, but so many people, like you said, don't give themselves the grace to let those things go, or
Mhm.
they stay there and they stay
Yeah.
in their past life or past mistakes, and it's
Mhm.
like so discouraging. Or it's even like when you have conversation with them and you make them aware, or through conversation, and they just happen to have the light bulb moment, and it's like you have a chance here, you have a choice to like let that go, or keep carrying it with you and just stay stuck in the same position you're doing. Yeah.
And also, whatever you tried at and failed at, however long ago it was,
Hmm.
it's never too late to try something different, something new, something you could try that again.
Yeah.
You're not the same person who failed at whatever that thing was back then.
Yeah.
And if you resent that, like, maybe let that go and it'll help you achieve it now.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's easier said because they're
oh,
come
way
into,
easier said than done. I
come
mean,
into like
uh,
obviously traumas
do,
and
do as I
conditioning like
say,
that.
not as I do, buddy.
Right, right. But I love the fact that even like with the title of the podcast here with evolving, because I've been saying that a lot myself. Like I'm evolving, not revolving. Like I'm not repeating past patterns or even like past mistakes. I can admit like when I've made mistakes and own up to them in terms of my own accountability, and then I've learned to evolve from that. And
Mhm.
being able to let things go, but also being able to detach, and giving myself the grace to detach from these things, and say like it's, maybe it's not as important as I thought it was or what I believed it to be, whether
Right.
it's a social issue, a political issue, a sports issue, whatever it was. Like it's just, letting those things, come and go as they may.
I think I learned, like from when I was younger, I'm like, why does the whole world hate me? Why does everybody hate me? Everybody hates me. And then
Mhm.
I got to a point where I'm like, no, they don't. Most people don't care at all about anyone else and what they're doing at any given moment. Like, even your dearest friends, the people you love the most, when you're distracted, this is fine. Like, it's completely fine for people to
Mhm.
to to not think about me, because I'm not thinking about them either. I'm
Yeah.
I'm living my life, and the quality ones will check in. The people who belong in my life, the people who I deem deserve to be in my life,
Mhm.
will remain in my life, and all the other people who, they hate me. Cool, get out. Go ahead, get out of my life.
Mhm.
And if you're stalking me on my podcasts, or if you're stalking me on my posts online, that sucks. I'm sorry for you. I'm glad. I'm sorry that you haven't moved on. I'm sorry
Yeah.
that I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm sad for you. And I
That's an interesting. That's become an interesting dynamic, like really, especially like with the socials, because it seems
right.
like a lot of, I don't want to say they're genuine relationships, but a lot of communication is done through socials and social
Hmm.
media and all like that.
Hmm.
And like even like you said, like we may not even be following each other, or we may not, be friends, but you're still looking at what I'm doing, or you're still aware of like my ins and outs of every day. And it's like, but where's the communication, right? Where's the authenticity in that, or even like where's what's the dynamic? Like, what is that? Is it is it something I should get used to? Because I don't want to. Like it's like,
Do you, Marco, how many times do you think that people were like, I'm going to post this because Marco's going to see it and he's going to think this and this and this. And then they'll ask you if you saw it and you'll be like, nope, don't follow you. I don't. And they'll be like, I had these expectations up here. I
the
had these
algorithm
expectations.
the algorithm
Yeah.
just wasn't in your favor that day. I'm sorry. It's just,
The Cupid algorithm was going
yeah.
to bring this picture right to your eyeballs.
No,
And
I've had discussions with people like that. It's just like I don't know if it's just like what's that, the external validation, or they just they need that that acceptance from others, or they need that
the dopamine hit from
yeah, that quick rush.
checking back on what the likes are. Like, go. How many times do you like hear somebody listening to the same thing they've already listened to 100 times, because
Hmm.
it's like their piece of content that they're going back to check what the likes are, or how the
Hmm.
views, or any of that stuff. I'm guilty of that stuff
Oh yeah.
just as much. Um, but that's part of us trying to be public figures.
Hmm.
But I think that was something I thought was, and I think most of the world believed that the public figures were public figures, and now the world believes anybody is a public figure.
Yes.
Anybody
Yeah.
who wants to be a public figure is a public figure.
Yeah.
And that used to be reserved for, like, people who were doing something special.
Right. The
Like,
extraordinary have become ordinary.
mhm, like,
Yeah.
well, I'm a performer. Uh, I that's why I do these things.
Hmm.
But the anybody can do that stuff now.
Yeah. And it's
Kind of
that, I
like,
mean, whether it's keeping up with the Joneses, as they say, or
mhm,
whatever it is in terms of like again staying in the algorithm or
mhm,
whatever. But it is an interesting, again. I think it's an interesting dynamic because if you are, whether you're a personality, a performer, building a brand, whatever it may be, but it's how do you want to show up in the world? Is it something you want to show up through the social medias, or would you rather show up in a more authentic way where you post when you want to, and you're not interested in the fanfare or the likes and the clicks and everything, and you just I posted it because I want to. I wasn't posting it because I knew Cory was going to see it, and I had to share it. It was more like I just posted it because I want to, and
well, I wonder what he's gonna think when he sees
yeah.
this. That little jerk.
Yeah,
That little jerk.
I'm gonna
Well,
post it and then I'm gonna share it too. I'm gonna DM
you,
him.
you'll see. I'll show you.
Yeah.
No, but like, I'm the type, like, I'll create shorts or reels or whatever and go and check back up on them, but I'll never post at all about anything else. Like I don't do that. I just don't care. I have never been somebody who's like posted on Facebook every day. I'm like, I'm on there because, you know, when I'm doing something cool, I want the people who want to pay attention to that and maybe who want to come watch me perform, come and perform.
Yeah.
That's what I have it there for. And I mean, if it helps me promote a couple things in the meantime, cool. But I'm not on the daily, like standing in front of my phone, like performing to it.
And it's becoming, I guess, part of the social norm, which, you know, whatever you require the norm to be, but it's become like
Norm McDonald. Norm McDonald.
Yeah.
That's
that
what
guy,
I required the norm to be.
yeah. But no, in terms of like it has, again, whether you're promoting something or you yourself, you're promoting yourself, it's how focused and locked in are you on that, and how much validation do you need from those posts. Like we were saying 10 11 years ago, like I was one of those people. Like I felt like I had to post something every day, not just to keep up, but to just maintain that whatever I thought was a relationship with those people out there, until you realize, like you said, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
My people need me.
Yes,
they need to know. My people need to keep up with me and what I'm thinking every day.
That's it. I've posted. You can go about your day.
Your wonder about what I'm doing and what I think about that. Now you can sleep easy, knowing that I feel a way that you may also feel.
That's it. I gave you a heart emoji. Are you happy?
Liked it.
Yeah, that's interesting because the many hats that I wear, obviously, with not just DJing, acting, working in mental health. So there's a lot of avenues I could use in terms of
fedoras.
And fedoras, yes. But again, like there's a lot of avenues I could use. I could utilize that in so many ways. And I've been told, you know, by people I value their, you know, their perception and their opinion, like you should try this or you should go about this. And it's just, my thing has always been, I wanted to maintain a sense of authenticity. I just wanted to be genuine. I wanted to be true to myself. And I wasn't really looking for an audience. I felt like I would embrace an audience. I would create my audience by the person I am. And those who stick around are there, you know, in real life. You know, everybody I interact with on social media, you know, I talk to in real life. Like, you know, I have a relationship with. So I find that to be more important.
Yeah. I think the type of, I know they say like it's so like kind of cliche t-shirt bumper sticker thing, but like your vibe definitely attracts your tribe.
Yeah.
And you know, it's some things are cliche for a reason. So if you are the type who complains about a bunch of things or gets aggravated about a bunch of things, all the people who you follow who make you feel all this aggravation all the time, that's the type of person you're going to be.
Yep.
You're going to be just like that person. Yep. And that person is going to be just like you. And you're all part of a circle, of a hoop that never ends.
Yeah.
How high does a sycamore grow? If you cut it down, then you'll never know.
Love it. Little musical interlude. It's true though, because it's like it's kind of like, yeah, you gravitate towards the things of what you're. It's basically like a mirror. Like it's holding up a mirror, and this is the reflection in which you're bringing to social media, to your everyday life. You know, if you're a complainer, you're going to find the complainers. If you're a gossiper, guess what your social media and stuff is probably filled with. You know, it's all that stuff. And everything is energy. You know, the energy you bring in is obviously what you're going to consume. So being mindful of that, being very aware of that. And I call it addition by subtraction. If the stuff brings you anxiety and you feel tension when you're reading it or scrolling through it, remove it and add something positive. Add something you enjoy.
Addition by subtraction. I've never heard that. That's great. I love it.
Yeah. If you're going to remove a gossip page, add something you're interested in, you know, and that way is still there.
I wasn't even thinking about it like what pages to follow. I was just thinking about things in life.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Like just like decisions that you have to make, or
Mhm.
just imagine your life. If whoever is the messy one, whoever is the most manipulative one, the person who's always dragging you into their problems, if you subtract them from your circle,
Mhm.
you're gonna add quality.
Yeah.
So that's addition by subtraction in my mind.
Yeah, and then you don't have to you don't even have to like add an individual to replace that individual.
Right. You're
You're
just
adding peace of mind. Yeah,
addition. It's quality of life that you're adding. You
exactly.
know,
Yeah.
um, it's like you can kind of walk a little easier knowing that uh, you don't have to wait for the other shoe to drop. You don't have to always be on edge about
Hmm.
what the person's how they're gonna react. So then you got something in the chamber and you're ready. Like then it's not good for your heart, buddy.
No,
Like
not at all. Not your heart,
you're
not your mind, your soul. Nope.
like your health gets affected. That means your vibe, like your vibe is controlling your body. Like
Hmm.
you're gonna get worked up by anything if you'll get worked up by anything.
Yeah, everything is energy. Like I said, it's not so
Every
much what are the things
I
that
just said
trigger you.
I just said anything twice, didn't I? Say
You did. I caught it. Yeah,
yeah. Well, why didn't you correct me, bud?
I was letting you flow, man. It's all good.
I was just kidding. I was just kidding. No, if if you get this worked up about everything, well, I don't even know how I'm supposed to be trying to say it.
I know. Yeah, I know what you meant. I know what you
Like,
meant. But yeah, but a lot of times people get triggered by things, and it's just I don't want to say they're not wrong to whatever you think or you feel is right, but it's ask yourself like what are you so upset about? What is upsetting you or triggering you about this person or this experience,
mhm.
and if it's something that continues to happen, ask yourself what can I do about this? Don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. That's how I look at
These are good ways to look at things.
it.
Uh, Addition by subtraction, and don't bring me problems, bring me solutions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like the same sort of thing where like I'm not gonna tell you how much I'm gonna do something. I'm not gonna tell you like, oh, I'm gonna climb that mountain. I'm gonna go climb that mountain, and you'll see that I had done it,
Right.
and I wouldn't have had to advertise that I will be doing it,
Hmm.
and only to let you down later when I don't do it because it's so much more of a commitment that I was really ready to make.
Or something came up. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, the
Mhm.
circumstances. You know, you got to react sometimes to react and adapt
Mhm.
to the world. Sometimes,
Sometimes.
sometimes you can be a completely intentional creator in your life. Not sometimes. No, you all the time. You can be
Yeah,
that. You can continue to be that. You don't have to do that sometimes. You could do that all the time.
you can. Yeah.
Just uh,
And
start.
it comes with pressures, there becomes, as they say, like anything worth having, is worth doing. Like but you got to put the effort out into the world, or into the whatever it is you want to, create in terms of being a creator. But a lot of times people get the vision, they get the idea, and then realize how much work has to go into it, and they don't even see it into fruition. They just like maybe take a step or two, dip their toe into the water, and then like, oh, too cold. No, not for me. And it's like, why not? Give it a try.
Well, yeah. I mean, sometimes it's funny to think about. Going right back to wrestling. Every single time you and I are going to talk, it's going to go back to wrestling.
That's okay.
But uh, like, how many times do you think people have said, I'm going to be a wrestler, and they go tell everybody they're going to be a wrestler, and then they go step into a ring for the first time, take a bunch of bumps, and they go, "This is the hardest pain I've ever felt. This is the most. I I I I can't show up for this every day. Never mind, I'm not doing
Hmm.
it."
Hmm.
Uh, that I have personally seen that hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And that should make me feel a little more confident about my consistency.
Yeah. I mean,
And
well, yeah, when you start comparing and contrasting as far as like what others have gone through and said they're going to do as opposed to what you've done,
mhm,
it's it, it's the idea of wanting to become a wrestler. They have this
mhm,
vision in their head as far as excuse me, as far as what they see on television or what it takes to be, whether it's the money, the fame, the notoriety, whatever comes with it, but then the actual behind the scenes, the work that comes involved with that, taking that first bump, the reality of it,
right,
of it
right.
all, and then going, well, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. I don't know. It's that, the will of the person.
Have you ever taken a bump?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in my 20s.
Was
I
Oh
wasn't,
yeah, you did tell me about that.
mhm, yeah.
What school was that at?
It wasn't at any school.
Mm,
I just, with friends, I used to do the backyard stuff, like messing around.
Oh,
And then I was like, you know what? I'll give this a try. I actually went to the CCW. I went to their training over in Jersey.
yeah,
I never signed up for a school. I went for like just to see if this was for me.
yeah.
And
I think that was where I was training, and I was trying to ask you if we were there at the same time or not, because
yeah,
that
I was
would
maybe 02, 02, 03, maybe.
that Cory Kastle debuted in 2002,
There you go.
and that was when I was going to the CCW school.
Yeah,
How
I
about
went
that?
over and just I took it was like one of the not a tryout, but like just to sign up before I pay this money. Let me see like what it is I
Was it?
want to.
Who was it that ran you through the tryout? Was it
Oh my
Dahmer?
god, was it Zandig? Zandig?
Zandig.
Zandig,
Dan-
yeah,
Dancing
Danzig, the
Zandig?
group. Yeah,
Dancing Zandig? Is it, hey, I'm Dancing Zandig.
yeah.
Jesus, Jesus. Oh.
But it was quick. It was Zandig and who was the other one that was there? Again, it was like 20 years ago. Um, the other one was Trent Acid, the other backseat boy.
Johnny Cashmere.
That yeah, he was there. So they watched
Okay.
and they gave constructive feedback. I hit the ropes well, and I took the bumps that they asked for. But then I walking away, I felt confident. I felt it's something I could do. But then I went, do I really want to go this route? As far as health insurance and all the things that come with this. And I've been to a few CZW shows at the time. I'm like, and I like what Ruckus does, and I like what M Dog 20 does, but am I really capable? You start to question yourself.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are incredible. Like they're
Mhm.
just out of this world. Like no one can do what those guys can do
Yeah.
in wrestling. And I mean, it probably took a lot of background in other things. Like
Mhm.
most likely, I'm not sure. Most likely, M Dog was probably a gymnast.
Oh yeah, or something.
So
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah.
so all those incredible flips and stuff probably came from that.
Yeah. And in
They
my mind, that's
adapted.
where I immediately went because I was looking at like size and stature. I'm like, I'm about his height, his weight. So I would probably be, in that lane, I mean, you can
Mhm.
match up with anybody, but I'm thinking in terms of comparing. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, man. He's probably been doing this since he was like 14, 15 years old. And at the time I was early 20s. And I'm like, mm, yeah. And I talked myself out of it. As they say,
Did,
paralysis, analysis by paralysis, or as the saying goes, or paralysis by analysis. And then I talked myself out of it and I didn't make a move.
did, did you ever see that him and Josh Prohibition were in the backyard wrestling videos? They used to be
Mm-hmm.
on the commercials all the time.
Yeah, because after the fact, after I realized like it wasn't for me, I would, I'd obviously keep up and still be a fan and watch. And then I saw more about it. I was just like,
You
yeah,
were like, I did backyard wrestling too, just like M Dog. That's
yeah,
why I
yeah.
belong here.
Mm-hmm.
I
I was like, I'll be on the other side of the guardrail. That's fine. I'm okay with it. I'm really okay with it. But it never deterred like my passion. Obviously, I've always been a lifelong fan.
Mhm.
I told you before, like I started ring announcing. I was
Right.
looking into that because I felt like I feel like I can be a character of some sort. It's a manager, a heel aspect, even a broadcast as far in terms of like, play by play or whatever. And it took up until this year, literally, I said, I want to try ring announcing. Like after all these years that have gone by, I was like, I still want to be around it in some capacity. So I've given it a shot. Why not?
Yeah. Alyssa is wanting to try it too. She loves like that there's a woman, I can't remember her name now, doing it in WWE, like on SmackDown, and
Samantha Irvin.
That's the one. Yes. Yeah. And she was sending me today, this morning, I think, ways that she was doing vocal warm-ups and stuff, getting ready for ring announcing. It seemed like she was having fun. I know when I was young, I used to walk through puddles. Ask me why.
Why?
To get my feet wet, Everybody gets their feet wet when they're young. but I used to do for the ring announcers when I was first starting as a student. I used to go and collect all of the wrestlers, like name, hometown, weight, all that stuff for the ring announcer back then.
Yeah.
So I guess I was like, I wanted more to be a wrestler and not be the person who's doing that. So I had very little interest in doing that, but I mean, I can understand. It seems really fun. I mean, I've done commentary a lot, and I've had a lot of fun doing that. But when it comes to just doing entrance announcing, that didn't seem like something I'd want to do. I don't know.
Yeah, I never really, like, that wasn't the thing. Even when I was younger, like, I was like, it was an afterthought. Like, obviously they exist and they have a role, but it was as I got older, and especially with the acting aspect, like doing voiceover work and doing character work, and it's like, you know what? There's something here. There's something here, like with this interesting like parallel between what I do as an actor and then how I can make that come to life as a character, without taking a bump or doing anything, but still.
Right. And you're kind of singing.
Yeah, to these other, the other wrestlers, like, everybody can have their own variation of the way they get introduced. And it's like, even with like Alyssa and Samantha Irvin, that parallel as far as the singing background and then, making that, come to life in some way. Like it definitely has a purpose, and, you can definitely fulfill it.
And it's a weird thing for me to just discover how much I didn't care about that at all. And I just like minimalized that in a real crap ass way. But think about it. I love hosting at show. Like, I love doing, like, being an MC, and I love introducing the next comic up to the stage as this guy or this woman or whatever, I love doing that, but I never wanted to be like, weighing in at 145 pounds from the stage left.
I mean, it's funny you say comedy too, because that was the eye opener for me. In that last year, I tried comedy for the first time. I went to an open mic, and I have like my own little bucket list that I was creating as far as like things that I said, you know what, if I never try it, I'll look back and say, what, the what ifs, why didn't I try it? And I've done improv. I've done, as far as like comedy bits and sketches. And I was like, stand up has been something that's always kind of been there. Why haven't I tried it? And I just did it. I had like, the whole F it mindset. I was just like, you know what? Let me call my buddy. So my buddy Bruce, who lives in Vegas. And I was like, listen, this is something I want to try. He was so open about it. And like,
Bruce who?
Bruce Purcell.
Okay.
In the wrestling world, I know you know him too. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. So you definitely know him. Yep.
He's been on this podcast.
There you go.
He's been here at my house. I just hung out with him on Wednesday.
Yeah, he is back. That's right. He's still in the area. Yeah, because he was back and forth between Vegas and also. Yeah, he and I. We have sushi from time to time. That's my guy. So you're coming with us next time.
That's awesome.
But yeah, no, I hit him up, and he was just like, what kind of style do you want to do? Like, what do you? And I'm like, I want to be like more of a storyteller, not like a punchline kind of guy. Like, let it build up, and I just had to like find what it is worked for me. So you get 5 minutes, open mic, you get 5 minutes. I was like, okay, I got time for maybe 1.5 stories. And I was satisfied with it. I was looking for two things, like my stage presence. Like I wasn't uncomfortable or, a little bit nervous, but I wasn't uncomfortable. Like I felt like I belonged. And if I get a chuckle or two out of it, and that's really all I asked of myself. We didn't have much expectation. And I was like, damn, I can do this. And from there, I went into like exploring the ring announcing part of it, as far as saying, well, wait, if I can do this in terms of being in front of an audience with a microphone in hand, not acting with a camera, like, as far as like anything with that and cut and do it again, I was like, maybe I can. And I try out back in like December or January. And yeah, I felt good about it. And yeah, hey, why not? Why not? Like you said, you're never too old. It's as far as age goes, just do it. If you feel you want to do it, do it.
If you call it a bucket list, you also can call it a fuck it list, or you can call it a book it list, because you've booked yourself to do that thing that you wanted to be booked at whatever that gig is. It's on your bucket list.
Yeah, yeah, and it's consistent too. Like it's a small indie fed that like I love the fact that my schedule, if it doesn't align, there's no like hard feelings. If it's if I'm able to do it, great. If not, they have someone else can fill in, so that's kind of cool. But I love the flexibility. I love that there's an opportunity, and I'm creating that by just stepping into it.
I mean, you're a creator. So you're like, even just if you were to video yourself at the place doing the thing, that sometimes is all it takes to like have somebody's just perception of like, oh my God, look how Marco's doing stuff. He's doing everything and I'm doing nothing.
I mean, I got that from time to time. Like, I'm like, yo, dude, how do you have time for all this stuff? And in my mind, I hear them in that they're not prioritizing their time right. They're not, they whatever the case may be. But I'll also get, hey, man, that's really cool. Like, I've always thought that I'm great. It's great that you're doing that, man. And I'm really excited for you. So you take it from both sides. And I mean, again, I take it with a grain of salt, but it's like you take it from all angles. And that what people give me is just a reflection or a projection of them.
Yes. I mean, it's, I think the idea to look at it from like what's your time management? What's priorities to you? Like what is the most important thing to you? And is this is the thing that you see me doing something you also want to do? And just there's some excuses why you're not doing those things. Like figure out what those excuses are and maybe try to take those limits off, knock the limits off that you're putting on yourself.
Yeah, and I'll have those conversations too. Like, guys, I'm cool with. I do with that. It's excuses why you can't or reasons why you can. Like, which one are you? Which energy are you giving it to? Like that. It's not that you don't have the time. You're not prioritizing the time. Again, it's all the way. These are the way I would talk to myself. So it's like, why not have the conversation with others?
Dude, you talk like such the coolest teacher there is. Like if we're like, oh man, I gotta write all this down. This is a cool teacher. He's teaching me all these really cool things.
That's me. It's really, again, like it's how I talk to myself. Really.
Well, I mean, you're kind of like a coach to some people. So I mean, I that's the type of energy that a coach would give somebody. So here I am calling a coach a teacher. It's the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah. Yeah. But it's also, and everybody I do talk to with that, it's also allowing myself to be vulnerable. Like I wouldn't share, or even like you said, coach, or I wouldn't mentor anybody without having shared my own experiences and shared my own downfalls, my own mistakes even. So it's a way of saying, here, I've learned from this. I'm not saying you have to do it this exact way, but I'm vulnerable enough to share that I'm human. I'm human first. And I've had a moment or two. So I think it's more authentic that way rather than some coaches or some individuals feel like they have to come off with that know-it-all presence, or that, like you have it all figured out. I don't have anything figured out. I don't have anything figured out. Like I don't know anything. I know what I know in terms of what I've done, and even that I probably just guessed.
I heard Tugboat Fred Ottman tell a story about a Macho Man telling him that anybody who tries to make you any kind, I should do this in the Macho Man impression. Anybody who tries to make you any kind of guarantees in this business, Tugboat, they're more full of shit than a Christmas turkey. So anybody who's ever trying to swear they know it all, or you just assigned to them in your own head that they must know it all. Mm-hmm. If they're coaching you, they must know everything.
Yeah.
Don't put that expectation on me.
No, not at all. No, and that can be intimidating, because a lot of times when people are looking for a coach, or even whatever, anything you want to try in this world, you should have a coach. You should have a mentor. Like anything you want to build or expand upon. I mean, I believe that, but it's being selective on who does that, because when you're looking outside of yourself and you're trying to position, yourself, and you're looking, extending it to others, chances are you're not putting yourself first. You're doubting yourself. You're limiting yourself. So that person on the other side can come off as intimidating. If they feel like they know it all, or they perceive they know it all, then chances are your mindset is, I don't know anything. If they have all the answers, then what am I doing? I'd rather it be like feel even keel. I never want to present as holier than thou or higher than. I'll try to meet people as where they are, as an equal. And it's again, I say that for myself. That's what I would want in a coach. That's what I would want in a friendship. That's what I would want in any individual. And it's just more welcoming, more warming.
I believe in being the type of friend to people that you'd want to have for yourself. Mm-hmm. Like, I know it's more cliche than every other thing I said, but to treat people the way you want to be treated kind of thing. It means something more than just being a cliche thing. It's mm-hmm. it's very like, how would you feel hearing what you just said come from me? I kind of think about that when I hear people talk to me, and I'm like, would I say that to me? Mm-hmm. Or how would this person react to me saying this thing to them? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it can kind of go both ways on that, but but at the same time, it always comes back to considering the source. Always comes back to like, oh no, wonder where this is kind of coming from. I wonder, if this person who's judging me has any room to be doing that.
Right. Yeah.
I say on stage, I do this thing where I've been saying, can we all agree to just stop like comparing ourselves to other people? You look at somebody and you're like, oh, they must have it all figured out because they have a nice car, they have a nice house, they have a nice relationship. But the way I look at it, birds, they got the entire sky. Some of them still get hit by cars. Not everybody's got it all figured out.
Right. Yeah.
So just, let's just put down our comparisons to other people, because if you're comparing yourself to the people that you see online posting this or posting that, and you think about the type of things you post sometimes, when you only post the very best things that you want to post.
Yep.
Those people who are doing that are also doing that. The people who you're comparing yourself to are also they're cherry picking the exact things that are going to make you jealous.
Yeah. It's all by design in that way. Yeah.
And it's a clickbait society. Mm-hmm. And
it's also too with like, as far as when people do that and they compare and they're comparing in saying like, this person does this, or I keep looking at this person, I see that. And then again, if I'm coming to them as a friend and I'm saying to them, I'm like, why are you so concerned with what they're doing and less concerned with what you're not doing. Like if there's something you want to change about that, you're giving so much energy and emphasis to what they're doing that you're taking away from what it is you could potentially do, right? Like what is it? Does that scare you? Like the things that you can do? Is it, are you afraid of something, or are you just like so focused on everybody else? Because as the saying goes, the only way out is in. There's something inside of you that's got you, comparing or disgruntled or upset about what this person is doing. It's like, what are you not doing? Are you missing opportunities? Are you, not prioritizing your time? It could be a number of things. But I love that. I love that because it's like, again, like I would want that from a friend. And it's, like, I think what was the saying? It's, what would this person do? Like someone you look up to, it's what would this person do? And again, rather than look outside of yourself and say, what would they do? It's what would I do in that situation? Or what would old me do? What is it I would like to do in that situation? Because now you have to own it.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
How would I react if that was presented to me now versus how I'd react to that a year ago, 6 months ago, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Right. Well, I was going 6 months at a time.
I was progressing. Yeah.
I was getting there. But yeah, a lot of times, and I think I think this thought sometimes, but it's not something I say out loud very much. But I don't really see other people as competition really so much as like my competition is kind of like me being a better version of me. So I'm competing with a former version of myself who maybe wouldn't have stood up for myself, or maybe wouldn't have handled this situation in a way that would be serving me in any way. Versus like what growth have I had since then? Yeah. And not when I say competing with myself, it's not in like a disgusting, like, oh, I'm in bitter competition. It is just in order to sharpen the blade,
Yeah, self-awareness in terms of like, what have I done differently, or what can I do differently, and giving yourself that grace to say like, I didn't repeat the pattern, or not being so hard on myself. And that's I find that to be a beautiful thing, because a lot of times people are aware, like they can change that thought process or they can change that behavior, but it's easier to stay in that pattern or in that, that comfort zone even. And whether they beat themselves over it or they just dismiss it, it's ultimately up to them. But yeah, it's me versus me. And even today, like I posted, like when we were talking about like my 6 years ago, I did my first commercial on television, and I posted that just in one of those moments of reflection. Like, wow, like how far have I come, and what have I done, and what have I learned, and what would I do, going forward? And I pretty much left it as like, I don't know. I really don't know what would be different, what's to come, what lies ahead. And I looked at that. I'm like, that's the beauty of it. It's what I did 6 years ago is now, as opposed to now, and 6 years from now. It's like, who knows? And it's not who cares, but like, what's the big deal? It's great. I'm enjoying the ride. I'm enjoying, everything as it comes. Yeah. It's cool. It's a good way to look back, be here present, and then not have to go too far into the future and just enjoy it. But it's me versus me.
Were you thinking about starting your own podcast?
See, okay. I feel like I was a trendsetter in that I had one back like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. Again, because my degree is in mental health. So I had a podcast called Behind the Mask with Marco, and that I was looking to unmask the masculinity in terms of like the mask that a lot of men wear, and that we can't talk about feelings, or we're conditioned to always provide, and our purpose is to do these things, and we don't do. And it's like, it was bringing those things, to life. Now I feel like there's a mental health podcast everywhere. Like they're all easily accessible. So I kind of faded in that. I had moments on Twitch, like I was doing Twitch with like Mental Health Mondays, and I built a great following on there. But the pandemic ended and I kind of, yeah, therapy isn't free. But I mean, it is and it isn't. Like I love it because I built a good rapport on there and I had a great following. But it got to the point where it was like I didn't feel like it was serving. Uh, it wasn't fulfilling me. I'll put it that way. It wasn't fulfilling me in that like it's not a problem for me to talk about these topics and these conversations and discussions, but I didn't feel like it was. I feel like we were just going back in circles and piggybacking off of a topic and coming back around again. And I'm like, I'm giving you all the tools. I'm giving you all resources. I'm giving you guys here's the playbook, and you're not applying it. So it was deflating. It was really deflating.
So you felt like because you weren't getting immediate results,
not immediate. No,
you weren't getting any results at all. So
yeah, I get
you weren't
some. It was
a lot.
It was more on the side of, again, like it felt like a continuum. It just felt like a pattern was being created, and it just became more of an expectation for people rather than something they can grow with, And I feel like not just with the theme of it, as far as being a podcast or like on Twitch, but I felt like with therapy, again, you're evolving, not revolving. That's how I feel, and I wanted it to be something like I didn't want to continue to keep revisiting topics and recycling material. Sometimes important, like if you have a new audience, but it was something like I would rather expand upon this rather than just stay here. And that's kind of where it got.
So were you saying something about doing a show about wrestling too, or were you just talking to me about wrestling on here?
No, I expanded on that. I was trying different things. I had a series or two on Twitch called Wrestling with Life. I tried to tie the wrestling community in with mental health in terms of like, and I would use like wrestling terms, like a false finish, a situation in life that you're in where, you feel like this is the end and you're looking up at the lights and, this could be the end, but then you have that hard kick out and you have the chance. Here's your second chance to come back. And, and who is the heel? When is it time to become a babyface? Who's your tag team partner? The people you can rely on, like conversations we would have in terms of like how you apply that into your everyday life.
Dude, the best kickouts are at 2.5.
Yeah, 2.99.
Those are the ones you're like, you had me.
Like, yeah, and it's even like the story that you have the people like, on the edge of their seat.
And being on the other side of the barricade, being in the ring, being the person who kicks out or has someone kick out at you, and hear the pop right then, the way the crowd pops for almost 3 is something. It's an incredible feeling to have that.
Let me ask you that then, with that, because that was something I was always curious about from like the wrestling standpoint or from the performer standpoint. Like, how are you able to separate, like, I don't want to call it fantasy, but how are you able to separate the character from like the everyday life, as far as like the pops and the adulation you may receive, from being ringside or being, performing, as opposed to being out, in your everyday life? How are you able to turn it off? How are you able to separate the two?
Humility.
Yeah.
Mostly. I had to get, and dude, this is a process that took me a really long time, but I understand that like I am a star in the wrestling business to those people that are at that building that day. The second I'm not surrounded by any of those people, nobody knows who I am. So it's kind of like there's no performance because you're gonna get me the whole time. And even when I'm out in the ring, and even when I'm out there, and even when I'm out by the ring, or out at an intermission at the tables or whatever, you're getting me. You're not getting a character. I'm not playing some garbage man or car salesman or anything. I'm being just me. And I don't know. I would normally, only if okay, if I'm a heel, I won't be around the people.
Right.
I won't be around them because it's too hard for me to just be a jerk to them. But I could be a jerk to them when the lights are on me and the camera's on me. But when it's like intermission and they're the faces are outside signing stuff, I don't need to be out there.
Right.
And even if I'm a baby face too, I really won't go out there because I think wrestling fans, I feel like I don't want to overexpose myself to them. You know, like I don't want them to think that it's not a big deal that they're sitting there talking to me.
Right.
Like when it's I mean, for sure it isn't to me, but to you, I'm me. As a wrestling fan, I'd want you to want to be talking to me. I don't want you to be like, oh, I'll talk to him next time. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'll see him next time. I'm important to that person. And if I stay there, like wasting time with them and we're not getting anywhere, then they're bored of and not really. And I think that might also mess with my pop later.
Could,
like they go, oh, the ring announcer announces me, Cory Kastle, coming in from stage left. But maybe the crowd won't pop as loud.
Right.
So I wouldn't want to desensitize the people to reacting to seeing me. If that makes sense?
Yeah, no, that definitely does in terms of like not just oversaturation, but like that feeling of you're there for a purpose and you don't want to put too much into it. Have you met guys, or I'm sure familiar with guys who don't know how to turn it off? You don't have to say my name, but like
no, it's a weird area these days. Like there used to be a clear line between work and shoot, and it seems very gray now. I've started calling it gray fabe, and for sure, go ahead and take that. You can use it. Give me credit for it if you want. If not, I don't care. But use it. I want that to trend. I want everyone to know what gray fabe is. But yeah, it's a blurry line. I think I don't really. This might make me feel like I sound like a jerk to say this, but I don't spend too much time with wrestlers. Like most of the people that I hang around with aren't wrestling people. Most of my friends aren't wrestlers. Like there has been too many times when I can't tell what's a work and what's a shoot. And there has been workers who I'm like you said, I don't have to say names, but they're people who are attention hogs. So they'll be holding a performance in a locker room where they're like telling a story loud that they want everyone to hear. And then in their loud performing way go, why doesn't Cory Kastle like me? And I'm like, well, I don't want to be a part of your show that you're doing. I don't know all the people you're talking about. I don't get the characters. I'm not participating in your little work shoot gray fave thing. It's not that I don't like you. It's that I'm keeping myself safe from whatever ricochet comes off of the crossfire of your heat magnets flying all over the place.
Personality performance,
yeah. My old tag partner, Matt Bomboy, he used to, when we would see people like that at shows, he would go, hey, everybody, I'm here. Everybody, look at me. I'm here. Hello. Hello.
And just stand up.
In case you guys forgot, I'm still here. I am. In case this is where I'll continue to be. And if you'd like, I'll start dropping some names. I'll start saying some. That's what a lot of people do. Those type of people start dropping a lot of names, acting like they know a lot of people, and they're a bigger deal than they always are.
Yeah.
Like, me and Matt worked the show. I can't remember where it was, and I don't remember who it was, but this guy did straight up like Jake the Snake Roberts ripoff gimmick. Like, he had the snake, he looked just like Jake the Snake. He had like the gear, everything. And somebody was talking to him, and he was like, I don't know, I work everywhere, bro. I just work everywhere. And he's like, my agent tells me where to be, and that's where I go, you know? And we were both like, ooh, we're impressed. I think that's what he really wanted to hear that. So we had to tell him how impressed. Ooh.
Tell us more.
Wait, you have an agent?
Yeah, what?
They tell you where to be? Oh, God.
Your gimmick is so original.
I've been wasting all my time.
How can I be down? Put me in. So it's like the wrestling world is no different from like any other background or any other world. Yeah,
it's goofy. It's goofy as hell.
Mm.
There's a. Do you know who Bill Wiles is? He wrestled in ECW as like he did like a Elvis impersonator gimmick. It was called like Belvis Wesley or something.
Yeah, it was like, what was that? 95?
It was no, it was later ECW. It was like when ECW was like on TNN. When ECW like got on cable and we're doing like he was part of the Dangerous Alliance with CW Anderson.
So it's like 99 then, 99, 2000 almost?
I probably
late end, yeah.
But I was talking to him and I was like, did Honky Tonk Man ever come up to you and go, hey, you stole my character of me stealing that guy's character. Now you don't.
What are you thinking?
Where do you get off?
I come after you for copyright infringement, but what do you think now? I mean, because gimmicks today, what do you think now today is like in terms of, would you say is like a very, very original or creative gimmick? Something that's like you know what?
Like something I'm seeing in the current TV product?
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's interesting, right? Because I feel like if the mainstream or the TV product is like now everybody is just their gimmick is I'm a great wrestler. I'm a good wrestler. Like that's just how everybody comes off.
Yeah. It's hard to say. I feel like a good amount of wrestling doesn't seem like it's any attempt to seem like a contest anymore.
Yeah.
It just seems like dance moves. Like I was watching Monday Night Raw with my brother yesterday. It's Tuesday for everybody who's not watching live. I'm just kidding. but I was watching Monday Night Raw with my brother last night, and he's not a wrestling fan. And he was like, let's dance. Like, because everything was like, whoop, scoopity whoopie, dance. Like, oh, I'll dance you, buddy. I'm going to really out.
It's interesting too. Like if you show wrestling to someone who's not a fan, like someone that you're like, or even a casual, like they just happen to be watching it in passing, and the different products, like you can show them WWE as opposed to like AEW or even like, New Japan even or something like that. And it's just the way, like I feel like what watching it with casuals, it's easier for them to pick up like what to expect as opposed to us who watch it all the time and we're still like, yeah, okay, yeah, like we know what's to come, but we're still entertained by it.
Do you know what a fish out of water sequence is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, So this is a conversation Alyssa and I have every time somebody does a fish out of water sequence on TV. Because she's like, "Why do you guys do that? It never ends a match." Like, we all know that that's fake and that's not like, yeah, but like sometimes so it's exciting for everybody to go, what do? Like we're all playing. We're
Right.
having fun.
Mm-hmm.
but the fish out of water sequence, for anybody who doesn't know, is what when there would be like one wrestler pins another wrestler's shoulders down, that person kicks out, pins the other wrestler's shoulders down, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2.
Yeah,
fish
a little suspenseful, back and forth.
And it's also fun to watch how blown up the referees get. Watch how out of breath the ref gets.
Yeah, and that's actually like people like the referees, like they deserve that credit, and in sequences like that, yeah, and they're in the right position each time, like give them that.
Yeah, man, so, dude, a great referee is
They're few and far between, it seems, anymore.
It's no, but I mean, to work with somebody who is like, for a wrestler, to work with a good referee is so much more important than anyone will ever know, who's never been in that position, who's never really counted on a ref who's let them down before, because the majority of them will kind of upset you sometimes.
Yeah.
There's going to be something like almost, every indie show you're on, there's going to be a referee who lets you down.
Yeah.
Who's gonna flub something. But to work with like a really great, talented referee who's like always in the right spots, that definitely deserves to be in the pros, like in the big leagues, major league. There's a premium, like it's a premium on that. Like I always knew Bryce was a great ref. I loved working with him.
What do you think as far as like with a good ref, like it takes? I mean, obviously you're paying attention to detail and you're putting your time into the craft. Both is like a good attribute of a good referee.
Being in the right places, and that being in the right places means being out of my way.
Okay.
And also, like, if I can't communicate to the person who I'm working with, I can communicate to that referee, and that referee is going to communicate to this person. And some referees, when you try to do that, they'll look at you blank in your face and have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah. That comes back to the training. Experience and training, yeah. Right.
And like, keep checking in on you. That's something that they really have to do and mean it. And that's like, some of them are too performance. Like, some of them are too busy, wrapped up in the performance to actually be like, hey man, are you doing okay? Like, you're doing great, bud. I love getting positive feedback from the refs. Like, if a ref gives me positive feedback, I'll request that ref next time.
Nice.
I have not had the same ref at every show.
How the cookie crumbles. You have any shows coming up?
Yeah, man. I got this upcoming weekend. I got 2 shows the weekend after that. So yeah, this is doing stuff. And then I don't have anything. I don't have anything in July. I have nothing in July, and the next booking I have is in August, after 2 weeks from now. So we kind of getting some rest on my body, and some time to kind of like build my body back up.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
That's important.
I lost a lot of weight. I lost a lot of my gains, and I have to get them back.
I lost them. I have to find them.
I've lost my gains. I cannot find them.
I cannot locate my gains.
Have you seen my gains?
I've seen them. Nice.
Well, that's also a good shirt to wear if you have gains. And have you seen them? Look at
Have you seen
them.
my games?
look at these gains I got. So it's for when you're missing them and when you also have them and you want others to see them.
Yeah, it's twofold. Nice.
Yeah. It's a double gains.
All right, so I have to ask because I think we were discussing in the DMs, as they say, your thoughts on because we kind of touched on this a few months ago. We were talking like what we thought what was going to happen, and now we know it's going to happen. Your thoughts on the Punk announcement, Punk returning? What do you think? Where's it going? Good move, bad move?
It's a great move. You could do no wrong having CM Punk be your marquee talent because you need it. You need him. He's been the best thing about your company since the start. I got CM Punk being a part of AEW was the reason a lot of people watched AEW who would have never seen AEW before. So bringing him back is really smart. The acting, the like leaking rumors, taking him back, leaking like the whole like, is he coming back? Is he not coming back? Oh, is it going to be Ace Steel? There's backstage drama. Why does everybody know about all that stuff? Anyway,
yeah, and why do we allow it? It's annoying.
And I mean, I don't know what happened with the All Out or whatever when it happened. I don't know what happened, and I don't think anybody knows, except for the people who were right there that day.
Right.
But it's bizarre to me that they're like, did you watch the reality show that they did?
The All Access? Yeah. They don't even mention it.
Yeah, they try to they like Benoit it. They really Chris Benoit the hell out of that All Out.
They give her a little WWE twist in terms of revisionist history, and I was like, why? Why?
You know, it's
unless it's legal, like the legalities, maybe. I don't know.
Well, then it's limited access. When you call it All Access, you better not have such limited access.
Not all access, yeah.
Some access.
Some access, yeah. A smidgen of access.
You get the amount of access we give you, and that's it.
That's it. No lanyard, no press pass. No, that's all you get.
Did you see the episode where dude, I didn't watch the whole series. I watched a majority of it.
Yeah,
but when Adam Cole was like, I'm just scared I'm never going to be able to wrestle again. And he was telling to another kid who's out on injury who might not be able to come back to wrestling.
O'Reilly,
the kid's like, I know. Look
at my neck.
I mean, I bet you when they filmed it, it wasn't doing that, but
yeah,
like, the kid knows.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cause I wonder like when they did film it, like if Riley had gotten hurt by then, was he injured? I don't even know. The timeline didn't add up as far as like when they were doing stuff. They were like 3 months behind, 4 months behind, but yeah. And it seems like
it is limited access.
It really is. Yeah. Cause there's only limited characters too. They only gave like 5 or 6 of the wrestlers. They didn't include everybody.
Well, I think, it's funny, man. Like I think how much of a work reality TV shows are. Like I think about they're not scripted, but they're like, here you go, just sit there and you guys kind of talk about this or talk about that, like, and it's so everything is very exaggerated. It's reality TV is a gray fabe world.
There you go. Yeah. Very exaggerated, very edited, very, diluted in terms of what it is we want you to see as opposed to what actually was said. Yeah.
Oh, wait till Marco sees this post. What's he gonna think? He'll see.
He doesn't have all access to this, but we'll let him think he does.
Man, and I think anytime I watch any kind of like reality series or anything, I mean, I'm into some. Like I watch some reality shows. I understand what they are, but I I always go like, oh, these guys are being so dramatic.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody's being like, I think the key maybe, and maybe if you see me in a reality series, it'll be that I learned how to master this.
Mhm.
Like the reaction to almost anything is dramatic.
Mhm.
You just turn on drama. But when it came to them trying to like under the rug the whole like CM Punk thing, if the guy's coming back, if he's coming back,
Mhm.
why can't you just say what happened? Like or are we just gonna wait till he comes back? Is he gonna be able to say what happened, or is
Yeah.
he gonna tell his side of the story? Is he gonna do some spot where he does carry on my wayward son and bite somebody's arm? Like
See, yeah, and that's that part I'm curious about because while they couldn't say certain things, apparently they sure made a point to present,
yeah,
their own little narrative with the carry on wayward son and the biting and the little using his move and like little
yeah.
hints here and there on their BTE episodes. And it's like, like okay, like you can paint your picture, but is he going to be able to paint his when he gets back?
Well, I think that's a disturbing thing to me about AEW from the very start is the fact that the name Elite is in the title of the company.
Yeah, and they're
Like,
proud of that too. Yeah,
what's that?
they're proud of that. The Bucks and everything, they're proud of that.
Well, I mean, from the very beginning, it screamed to me, all Elite's friends,
Mm-hmm.
and like all those guys' friends, and all the people who are clicked up with those dudes. And if you don't know them, and they don't know somebody who knows somebody who can say something good about you, then you might not ever get a sniff.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem like a lot of politics back there.
It's like a nepotism thing that
It is.
kind of disturbing.
And then, even like in the All Access show, I got a sense of that with and I like him too, Sammy Guevara. Like
Mhm.
seems like a decent guy, seems like a likable person, but just I felt like he was that teacher's pet kind of character, constantly going to Tony and where do I fit and what do I have to do, and I mean, you want to improve and you want that adulation from your peers and your boss, but it's like I feel like there's some definitely some politic in there.
I feel like anything I've ever seen with him
Mm-hmm.
has felt so forced, like 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 hardly sincere.
Yeah.
And I don't know him. Maybe I'm all the way wrong, and I'm totally cool with being wrong. Let me be wrong. I'm totally fine.
Sorry,
I'm,
can you hear me?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm totally cool to be proved wrong. But to me, he to me seems like a Divas champion.
Yeah.
Like he wears bedazzled gear.
Doesn't wear the panda head anymore though. That's good.
It seems like his like smile is like real phony, and then it's I haven't heard anyone say anything good or bad about him. I don't. I mean, I can only judge for myself. I don't have anything to judge off of except for what I see on the TV screen.
Yeah, and it's like it does feels like a forced position. Like it definitely doesn't. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel very organic either. Like
Well, I feel like a lot of things are like similar to like Hangman Page. Like Hangman Page's title reign in AEW just felt like he got that because Tony Khan predicted that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted it to happen because he said it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And like it didn't bring any new eyes to the company. It didn't improve the title.
Yeah.
And the I don't know, man. I guess the best thing and like the character that you're talking about, the best thing that I've seen has been MJF so far.
Yeah.
Like an original thing, and Darby too.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say those are like the most creative things I've seen so far in AEW.
Yeah, and I love, well, obviously MJF's. Yeah, I think he's stands out. He definitely stands out in terms of like since they've started there. Like even with that Pillars match that they just had, like they keep calling it that, like it's something they can hang their hat on in terms of being the four pillars. But I'm like, he is head and shoulders above all three of them. Like,
Mhm.
and it's not even close. Like it's not even close because I feel like the other three are like one and the same. Like they have their gimmick and they have their persona, but he is like levels ahead of them.
Well, I don't think that Sammy or Jungle Boy are
Mhm.
on the same level as Darby.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I mean. Darby's like a smidge ahead of them.
Yeah, like
He has his following.
there's nothing about him that feels forced at all.
Yeah.
He is as sincere as you can be,
Mhm.
except like it's. So I could say that I'm not the hugest fan of having him talk about buying his dad a house and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Like we don't really need to know that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm interested in. The type of wrestlers I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
If I'm a kid,
And that's what I mean in terms of the gimmick. Like even like with Darby, it's like there's times I'm questioning like what exactly is your gimmick? Like you really don't care about your body and everything else. So if you don't care, what's the point of the title? Like, what are you really chasing a title for if you don't care? And you say this is short lived and and then bringing the personal stuff in. And I'm like, well, you know, who exactly are you? Like, what am I supposed to root for you? Or am I not supposed to root for you?
like it felt like I'm deep and dark in a coffin, skateboard. I make a lot of money, and I bought a house for my daddy. Like
Yeah,
it,
see?
it it seems conflict. You know what I mean? Contradictory.
Yeah.
Um, I lived in my car under a bridge. Now I bought a house for my dad.
And he didn't even ask me for it.
Yeah. It doesn't feel forced, but it doesn't. It's not that it doesn't feel as forced as like Sammy stuff or Jungle Boy.
Yeah. And he's another one too. Like I don't really know what am I supposed to root for? Like I don't know. And I'm not taking anything away from them. Again, personally, it's just like I don't give me something to like be emotionally invested in, and I don't feel it.
I think it is the same thing as that part of like somebody told him that that kid was going to be a star. He
Yeah.
told somebody else that he was going to make that kid a star. So it's almost like Vince McMahon pushing Roman Reigns, suffer and succotash
Yeah.
all over again.
Until they had to like completely revamp the character. Yeah, I totally get it there.
Mhm.
And that also I think not only falls on the like the backstage. I think that falls on the wrestler in that what is my gimmick? What can I stay true to? And what's going to organically get me over? I see that too with Austin Theory. Like in comparison, it's like
Mhm.
I feel like what he's doing now, even though he's succeeding, he's a champion, but it feels forced. It feels like it doesn't feel authentic at all.
Well, it's interesting. He he's you can tell he's kind of like finding his comfort level. Like
Hmm.
and it's cool to watch that
Yeah.
as a fan, to watch him like he's kind of finding his voice a little
Hmm.
bit and like the kind of performer he wants to be. Oh my god, what felt forced to me was I don't know if you remember this. Please tell me if you do. Uh, like Kevin Owens came out during an Austin Theory promo, and then Kevin Owens like went into this like passionate like this is why you don't have this to do that, and I've heard every other guy was going to be the next guy. What makes you different than all those guys?
Hmm.
And then he like grabbed the microphone and he's like, "You'll never be me." And I'm like, "Oh, you just were all those guys he was talking about. You'll never be me." You're like, "Oh, yeah, everybody says that, dude."
Well, he was saying what was written for him,
Right.
verbatim. That
It's
yeah, well, that's tough too. Like with me with WWE, it's tough in that, and I don't know. I don't know how much leniency they have now with the microphone and the promos, but the whole fact that like when everything was like scripted to a T, like you had to follow, what was given to you, and it's just like you're kind of forcing us to cheer and boo, and like you're pretty much telling us like who you want us to pick and like and get behind, as opposed to just letting it happen. And even when it does happen, they would kind of pull back the reins a little bit.
I mean, think about from when you started being a fan of wrestling versus now you being a fan of wrestling and watching it. Like when you were younger and you looked at people like The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin or Billy Gunn or Road Dogg or Triple H, and you went and you could look at them and be like, I bet that guy could beat up my dad, right? Now you watch wrestling, most of the people who go out there, you're like, I bet my dad could beat up that guy. And it's like, as fans, kind of conditioned to go like, all right, well, he's going to say some stuff that somebody wrote for him, and he's going to hit all these points. He's going to say all these buzzwords, and it's kind of like it's turned wrestling into seeming predictable and dancey.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem like that before. And I get it. I was a kid when that happened, but I since then became a wrestler and have been on both sides of it and seen that, like, before wrestling was elite. You had to be an elite person to be in it. There had to be something like tougher about you than everybody else. There had to be something more. And I've been saying this elite word before this company ever started.
I believe.
But it's like there had to be something in, and I make this example whenever I go to any wrestling school, and like talk to kids or talk to young wrestlers who want any advice from me. And it's always like, you can go in your school, you can join any baseball team, basketball team, football team, wrestling team at school. Sure, you can do that. You can go do martial arts at a strip mall. When was the last time you saw a professional wrestling school at a strip mall, or there was a class that was like really easily accessible to you? You can't. You had to put this effort forward to tell yourself, I want this. And then you had to get in the ring and you had to stick with it, and you had to become like, that's something that, like, when you sit around and you think about, like, when you think about believing you belong there and showing it in your attitude that the fans see, that's something I think is kind of missing now.
Yeah. But well, not that it's not missing. It's I think it's par for the course, and not to cut you off, but in the parallel or the comparison of, like, we were talking about with social media, like, everybody is capable to do everything. Like, the extraordinary is now ordinary. Like, anybody can do a podcast. Anybody can do this or be an influencer, be a foodie or whatever, and everybody's doing it, right? Like, so it's no different than the wrestling world, where I'm a good wrestler, or I'm a great wrestler, and what makes me a great wrestler is I do all the flips, I do all the jumps, right? And they all, it's all kind of one and the same. And the ones that stand out, you see, they pay more attention to the craft, and they're putting the work in, and and they're building up their body. They're aesthetically, they look good aesthetically. They look good, they can do a promo. They have the tools in that way. It's the other ones that's just like everything's one and the same, and it's no different than all these other things out there.
A lot of wrestling schools will accept somebody's money to train them, even though they don't belong in our business.
Right. Yeah.
And that is, it feels mean, and it feels like you're exploitative to this person, and you're not, like, you're going to take their money for them. Yeah. You're going to take their money to train them. However, they shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Or they, like, there's something about this person that says, like, this is going to be really a hard road for them, and they're going to give up.
Yeah.
Why don't we just tell them no?
Yeah.
But
And
it's just,
I mean, a lot of times they don't want to be that person or they don't want to gatekeep or whatever. But at the same
right.
time, it's like, just, you know, eye test or whatever, their reliability, to
Mhm.
themselves and others, like in some capacity. There should be, there should be that fine line. But that's, again, through the pandemic, like with DJing, everybody became a DJ. Everybody, because the equipment is easily accessible. You're not getting, the big turntables, you're using a controller or something like that. And your music, you can just stream it as opposed to actually collecting the music and taking the time to build your library. Everybody's a DJ now. And there's DJ schools now. So it's the same thing. It's like, where do you have this where there's a select few or the ones who actually stand out, and as opposed to now, it's open door to everyone. It's the same
Mhm.
thing with
Yeah.
wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, there's a generation now of wrestlers who got paid to learn how to be a wrestler.
Mhm.
They got trained to be a wrestler, having not grown up even a fan of wrestling. They were just some athlete who got brought to the performance center and got a contract.
Bianca
And
Belair. Mhm.
and yeah, I mean, dude, she's amazing.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah,
can't.
there's exceptions. Yeah, there's definitely exceptions.
Uh, but I'm saying like so the way that it's done maybe isn't the way it's always been done.
Mhm.
And before, um, people watched it, and now uh, only people who are fans of it watch it.
Yeah.
Even non-fans would watch it because it was entertaining show, and maybe you were able to suspend your disbelief. But now it's harder to suspend your disbelief.
Yeah.
And like,
That, and then also you have more, like, back then we didn't have the social media aspect as well, like the
oh
Twitter
yeah, dude,
or like, yeah.
you have every video, every movie, every YouTube, TikTok,
Mhm.
Instagram, shit, like competing for your attention from anything.
Right. And it's not even like the wrestling show itself. It's
Mhm.
something a wrestler said or something behind the scenes. And there's a discussion about everything. So it's like, once you even try to digest any of that, it's like, okay, like, why would I want to watch any of this? And then, not even to mention like the tribalism, that comes with that too, as far as like, I have to like this, I'm not allowed to like that, and I have to cheer for this, and I can't can't even bother watching that. And it's insane.
it it is weird to see like the cult tribalism amongst like AEW fans mostly. Like, and
Mhm.
they'll ignore something that's bad by going, what aboutisms?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's
Uh,
on both sides too, with the WWE part all the time
right,
with,
yeah.
yeah. Like,
But like the apologists and like the like trying to pretend like a botch was on purpose, or try to pretend like something was 5 stars when it for sure wasn't.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that comes from the journalist who's given stars to things.
Yeah.
But
That's all the conditioning. Mhm.
yeah, it's it, it's all part of that elite. When you're
Mhm.
saying elite, you use it in a better way, I think.
Yeah. And even like with the, like, what they call like the smart marks, they feel like they know more than the next person or the average fan. It's just like, it's like, come on, man. Like, not everything has to be by design. Not everything is, like, it's not going to be, intentional or making sense. It's just, it's there because it's there. Like, you're not ahead of the curve, or you're not, like, again, the know-it-all. Like, it just is what it is. Like, and it happens a lot. It's just like everyone, because, I want you to click on my link, or I want you to follow me because I have all the answers. It's like, it's annoying. It's really annoying. And it's unfortunate. I couldn't imagine, being an entertainer or a wrestler in the mainstream, as far as like trying to keep up with that stuff.
Oh yeah, it's gotta because like how I said earlier, like only the people who are there know who I am anywhere I go.
Mhm.
With them, it's all those. There's 40,000 of them in every town that they're in, plus, and then they're on global TV and everybody knows who they are, so they're representing their TV personality everywhere they go. They're that's where kayfabe originally came in. You gotta keep your character up so that people won't think this is the work, but also like you gotta not act in a way that is like social media standards and stuff.
Yeah.
Or get caught up slipping.
Yeah. Which can happen. You see, who was it? Andrade, the shit that happened with him. And it's like, what? Why? Like, the guy's like a superior talent. Like, what are you doing, man? Caught up with the backstage stuff.
Are you talking about him like punching Sammy?
Yeah, the thing with Sammy, and then they were, I think it started on social media, and then, yeah, it's like, why? Like, why play into that? Yeah.
You are the bait that you bite into.
Yeah. Why not squash it behind the scenes and do it like I don't want to say like adults, but play into that Twitter stuff. It's just it's annoying and detrimental. Like look at what it'll cost them.
I mean, I'll jump into a fake Twitter beef with somebody. Sure, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, it's gonna make us money. Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I've said before, like if you're trying to work with somebody in their pictures comment section, like that's pretty farm league. That's pretty like pretty shindy of you. But I honestly I think I've said this before, but tell me if you've seen it when people were like, "Oh, what wrestler would you like to see us bring in this month or this year or whatever? What wrestler would you like to see in this company?" And then a wrestler will tag themselves in it. Oh God.
Self promo.
Oh God.
I took the bait. Yeah.
So pathetic. But I get it. I mean, I think those thoughts. I think, yeah. I mean, you should book me, but I'm not gonna say that. I'll let somebody else say it. Sure.
Yeah.
If somebody else thinks that it's a good idea, if they were a fan of that company and wanted to see me work there, and they brought me up in the comments section, that'd be one thing. But for me to come out and say it, or like name my tag team that I'm in, or my faction that I'm in, stupid.
Yeah, I mean it's a cheap way. I mean I try to look at everything as what is this as an opportunity, and the opportunity there is okay. So maybe I DM them or I message them or email them.
Are you familiar with how back in the day, wrestling? So wrestlers couldn't also be marks. The marks had to be the marks, and the wrestlers couldn't be marks, or else they'd get made fun of for being marks. So like you couldn't like talk about wrestling that you saw on TV. You couldn't like wear another wrestler's t-shirt. It was kind of like an old thing that has kind of gone away now.
Yeah, kind of like an unwritten rule.
But if somebody is trying to put themselves over in the comment section is for the marks, not for the workers.
Yeah.
Stop being a mark.
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of what I mean about it in that. Like, don't.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, do that in private.
Trying to be a mark, and then also just be a mark for yourself. It's like, dude, like, it's like you smelling your own armpits and then inviting somebody else to come over and smell them.
This is for you.
Yeah. Who's that for?
Yeah.
The fans are demanding it. The marks are demanding to see me. I mean, I'm the mark. I'm demanding I see me in your. It's just.
Yeah. It's just. I mean, I get it too in terms of like getting in where you fit in terms of it's a different time in social media. It's easily accessible. There's other, I say, like, if the opportunity presents itself, like, what are you going to do? I would not do it in the public forum. I wouldn't put myself in the comments. I totally agree with that. But it's no different to say, hey, I'm an actor, and I see a small business and say, hey, listen, I'm an actor. I'm not going to do it in the comments, but I'll DM them or email them and say,
Right.
hey, I see you're selling this. Would you like someone to, promo or, do some, some character work for your product, and that's shooting my shot, not doing it in the comments. No, I totally see that. You know what would look great on your product? Me. And you put that in the comments. Like, it's like, no, that's terrible. But it's definitely a different time. It really is. It's like, even like we said, like watching wrestling as a kid, like when you were watching it when you were younger. And I remember going back and I'm like, they keep saying the same thing every week. They just insert different wrestler or city or whatever it was. And, they just really said the same thing. In hindsight, like when you look back on it, like they didn't really, there were memorable promos and moments, but like for the most part, they would say the same catchphrases, same lines. And it's like, what stood out from that as opposed to now where it's like, yeah, everything's kind of force fed and handed to them. Like, read this, say that, Ric Flair's promos, who was like one of the greatest on stick, said the same thing. The who, what, when, where, every week. It was just, a very, very loud promo as far as like selling the event.
I think that I've heard a rumor that the Attitude Era might come back, where they're trying to do something more edgy or something.
Run it by the stock people.
What's that?
They're run it by the stock people, or they're people who run the stocks and private companies.
Even though AEW is like TV 14, it's not like the Attitude Era was. There's no like shock TV.
No, there's no TNA. There's no like,
right. Not the way that Attitude Era was.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's what wrestling's missing.
I agree. No, I've said that. I mean, how do you toe that line in today's society? I guess you could say in today's climate. Like, how do you not get away with it, but how do you make it to where it's both socially and mainstream acceptable in that way? Like, how do you do that? What also staying true to what it is you want to present as a product? Like, do you need that shock value to get over? Like, it's interesting. I would be curious to see how they do about that.
Angles, get heat. Like, just like, dude, you're in $1 billion company. Get booked on the regular daytime TV. Do something that people want to see how it pays off.
Yeah.
Do an angle that's out of the normal. Do something that isn't inside the same formula that we've been doing over and over and over.
Yep. Just keep recycling it.
It's just kind of recycling this PG stuff over and over and over.
But the reason WWE does that too is also they're not really forced to change. Like, they're the leader. Like, and their ratings reflect it, and their bottom line reflects it, and the attendance reflects it. Like, so it's like, we don't really necessarily have to change. Like, whatever we give you, whatever we force feed you, you seem to be liking. You seem to be showing up. So what's the need to change? Until someone else maybe does it. Like, I know they may say they don't watch AEW or they don't pay attention to the competitors, or the competition, but I'll be damned if I haven't seen something on AEW and then a few weeks or months later I see something very similar, in WWE. Like, it's definitely there, but from like the creative and the writing perspective, it is lazy. It is recycled. It's rehashed. It's just it's safe. It's very safe.
Let's not overproduce every single thing. And if we are going to overproduce every single thing, let's do more. Let's do more stuff.
Yeah.
Like, let's go bigger.
Yeah. And by that, I don't mean the multiple camera cuts, because
no, there's too many. There's the amount of camera cuts.
Yeah.
How many cameras do they have at those events?
I don't know, but I imagine the producer just having to call him 6, 7, 3, go 6, 2.
What did you think of the drone one that they did at the Saudi
Or Puerto
Arabia?
Rico?
Oh, is it
Yeah.
Puerto Rico? Puerto
Was it
Rico,
Puerto Rico?
yeah.
Yeah, Puerto Rico. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. You know, it was a nice little, different dynamic. Again, it was that in and of itself, like that, the crowd, the whole atmosphere. Like I was just like, as a Puerto Rican, I was like, yeah, I'm proud of this. Yeah, represent it. All right.
I was proud of it, and I was
Yeah.
proud of Puerto Rico. Not that I'm not Puerto Rican, so I wasn't saying that I was proud of it in that way. But
Mhm.
as a wrestling fan, I
Mhm.
was proud of Puerto Rico for the way the crowd participated. I'd never seen them singing like that. Like
Mhm.
some of that stuff that they were doing was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was
That's what they do. Whether it's soccer, baseball, like it's what happens there, and it's
yeah.
I don't want to say I call America like our audience like it's the arrogant ignorance. It's just like like oh we're America, we're great, and like what they do that over there? Yeah, they do that over there. Like you're just
Mhm.
you're not aware of that. But like with the Puerto Rico crowd, even the Saudi crowd, whatever you feel about
Yeah,
that, it's
they were so
any
educated is what I meant. Like
yeah
they knew
any
how they
audience outside of
chant.
America. They
Yeah,
seem like very, very educated. They seem very, very involved and
mhm,
invested.
right.
And I think we're just accustomed to it. Like we're used to it every week. We get it week in and week out.
Mhm.
In the cities, and even when they say like this city didn't bring it, or like wherever they were at last week, wherever Hartford didn't bring it, or Baltimore didn't bring it. It's like, how do you know? Like,
Dude, they pop for everything all the
yeah.
time. Like those crowd pop when the crowds are that big,
Mhm.
that's loud in those buildings. It's so loud. Like,
Yeah.
have you ever been to a live WWE event?
Not lately. Last one I was at was Mania 35, I believe. That was like pre-pandemic.
Hmm. Where
Yeah,
was that?
in New York, New Jersey.
Oh,
So it was yeah, it was the last WrestleMania that was one night. Now they're all 2 nights. So it
oh,
was
right. Okay,
that was
okay.
when Kofi beat Danielson or
Yes,
Daniel Bryan. Yeah,
I
which should have
I
been the main event.
that was in Secaucus, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was not there,
Hmm.
but there was a wrestling convention, WrestleCon, that was happening that day
Hmm.
in Secaucus that I was wrestling on.
Hmm. Yeah, there's all the other that I love WrestleMania weekend just for that as
Mm,
well. Like
right.
there's so many events.
Yeah.
It's great in that way, but it's like even like the pay-per-views are great because it's nonstop matches. Like you're getting nonstop matches. A Raw or a SmackDown or something like that, where it's like you have commercial breaks, you have like it's different production. It's different.
Well, they added a third hour so that they can have a whole hour full of commercials.
Yeah, yeah. But even like you're sitting there, like you'll get the wrestler going to the ring, which is on camera, and then they cut to a camera or a commercial, and then the wrestler's still
The
standing
picture in picture.
there, just in
Mhm.
the ring, waiting, and then they come back on commercial and hear the music again. It's like it's a lot of sitting on your hands. So I totally get it when it's like they're not going to match that energy of a pay per view. There's no way.
Right.
Or I'm sorry, a PLE. They're not going to match that.
Yeah, you're totally right.
Mm.
But um, man, I really want to feel what wrestling in front of a big crowd like those are. Like I never got to wrestle in front of a stadium like that.
Mm.
I it's on my bucket list.
Bucket list. We're going to get there then. Well then, yeah. Let's put that out there and make that happen.
I really because being in those audiences, like being at some of those shows, those big audiences pop for everything.
Mhm.
Like some shows that you work on the indies, some of those little moves and stuff, crowds don't care about.
No.
Like they're not popping for every single thing because they want to be impressed.
Mhm.
And if whatever you're doing isn't impressing them, they're not making any noise for it.
No. That's it. And I'm curious to see with Forbidden Doors. I guess the next one in June. That's in Toronto. But I'm really curious for the All In show in London
Mhm.
because I want to see how a non WWE event fares with a crowd like that. You know, you're talking upwards of 70, 80,000 people like that. That should be interesting. And you're going to get a different type of production, a different type of presentation. So I'm really open. I mean, I know it's going to do well, but I'm really hoping it does, you know, incredible numbers and incredible performances.
Yeah, I'm stoked for it too. That sounds awesome. I mean, I would never wish any bad on any part of AEW or like any success that pro wrestling has is success for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I love it. I'm same with WWE. And same with any podcasts. Anybody who puts a podcast out, it's not competition to me. I obviously 100% know that there's no other professional wrestler, stand-up comedian, brain surgery survivor with a man bun and too much mustache walking around here podcasting.
Gave a full description.
I might be the only one.
Might be. Yeah.
I'm the Tigger of this game because I'm the only one.
The only one. Wonderful thing about that.
Well, this wonderful thing.
That'd be cool though, no, like, for you to like reach out to like I mean, ultimately, like you said, the bucket list as far as doing it, like not just a stadium event or large audience, but even having Alyssa as a ring announcer. You know, if that was to come to fruition, that'd be cool.
Yeah, very much, dude. I have she sang me to the ring. You know, my theme song is actually her singing. She recorded it, and it was on top of I had this composer make my original theme, and she wrote words for it and recorded it with him. And dude, she the show a couple months ago, she sang me to the ring, and somebody snapped a picture of both of us, so like me with the title belt and her with the microphone singing. And I printed that picture up and I hung it up at my office at work. I'm not at that job anymore. I brought it home. It's in my hallway. My hallway, but it's an awesome picture. I mean, it's a good power couple sort of moment. Vision board sort of picture.
Yeah. It's things like that. It's like it's not only just a moment, but it's motivating. It's motivating. It's just like, wow, like look at this. Like this is the potential in this.
It's a good little timestamp on a very magical moment.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I lost the title like 10 minutes after that picture was snapped, but who needs to know that? The picture doesn't know that.
No, not at all. Picture stands the test of time. The title comes and goes. It's all good.
So I have just a couple other things I'm going to ask you super quick. Then I'm going to send you off to the sunset with a hot dog and a handshake.
Appreciate it.
All right. So I do this segment called audio time travel. Okay. So I don't know if I've ever said it. I don't know if I said it on here yet about how important it is for me to have these kind of on the record conversations with people who fascinate me or people who I want to get to know even more. So have on the record conversations with them because I know this stuff is outliving me. I know this stuff is outliving us. Like I know that I want to make sure if let's say you don't have me anymore, let's say I go away or something, you can look back on this and go, hey, here is Cory saying he loves me. It's something important, you know what I mean? Something that it was important to have on the record, you know. That being said, I also like to say, since this stuff is outliving us, let's say whoever loves you the very most has stumbled across this recording in 2043. and they're listening back to it, and what you're giving them right now in the next couple minutes is just like a little message, audio time travel. You're speaking directly to your 2043 wife, kids, girlfriend, cousins, mom, dad, whoever. What are you telling them? What are you saying to them?
20 years from now, whatever that little fear you have inside of you, that's exactly what it is, little. And you should not let it overcome the possibilities, the opportunities, the potential, and the power that you have in yourself. Those thoughts you have, those fears you have, those reservations you have, take a deep breath, move forward. I'm proud of you. I know you're proud of you. Go out there and get it.
With that on the record, little ping. Is there any questions or anything that you wanted to say to me while we're on the record?
I've said it to you in person. I'll say it to you here, and you know why. Thank you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for your voice. Thank you for your springing into action. Yeah, I'm eternally grateful for that, and so very, very grateful and appreciative of the fact that even after the fact, like we are able to connect, not just with this the podcast or anything like that, but wrestling, and just on a level to where I'm like I said, there needs to be more of this in terms of interactions, conversations, and just that kind of connection with like-minded individuals. So again, the thank you is first and foremost, and appreciate you.
Thank you. I want to make sure man. I'm happy to be a resource for you in any other way. If anything else is going on, you need some advice, guidance, help, support, love, just somebody to talk to, judgment free. If you feel like you got nobody, you got me. That's that. I hope you feel that right down the bottom.
Definitely do. I definitely do. I appreciate that, because I definitely felt that, and do feel that, even from the brief interactions. I'll say that, from that brief interaction from that, but also just again in the conversations that followed, and where we are, where we're going. So again, appreciate you.
The way we wrap it up is, do you remember Jerry Springer?
Yes.
Okay, Jerry Springer would do like a final thought at the end of an episode. Mm-hmm. So let's say hypothetically, I've gifted you this show. This has been your pilot episode, your first episode of Evolving with Marco. In your very best Jerry Springer's final thought, what is the takeaways? What is the things from this conversation that can help somebody evolve to be a better version of themselves? In a pretty little bow.
Pretty little bow. Stop worrying about so much what you have to do, and take pride in the things that you want to do. You never know where that road could lead, but I guarantee you'll enjoy the road.
Do you do any impressions?
No, I just get told I look like Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
That's about, as far as that goes. I mean, I get on set a lot. You look like Paul Rudd. I'm like, okay, whatever, but I'm not. No impressions.
Right? Normally, I'll ask what your best impressions are, and ask you to use that. Like if maybe you do an accent or anything like that. If you do like a British accent, I'll say do whatever your best Irish, British, whatever accent you want to do, and say what the way we wrap up is I'll say be fun, have safe, keep evolving. But you say it Originally, it started. I had people saying it as Alf.
Elf. Oh, yeah, I remember him.
You sounded just like him.
Oh. Man.
So, in your best Alf,
My best Alf.
be fun, have safe, keep evolving.
All right, let me see. My best Alf. Be fun. Have. Oh, I'm sorry. Say it again. Be fun.
That was it. You said it. Be fun, have safe, keep evolving.
Have safe. Be fun. Have safe. Keep evolving.
Hey, Larry.
Hey,
I
kill me. That's what it's.
kill me. That was his catchphrase.
I was trying to think of it while I was saying it. I'm like, my mind's elsewhere.
Planet Melmac.
Melmac.
Dude, thank you so much for. And this is important for me to say. Anytime anybody's ever spending any time with me, how grateful I am for the currency of your time and your effort. If this is your first time checking out Evolving with Cory Kastle, anybody who's listening or watching, I appreciate the currency of your time and your effort. If this is the first time checking us out, check out all the other episodes if you want. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you're following on YouTube, watching the video, hello. If you're watching on Spotify, hello again. And keep on joining me. Make sure you tell the people that you love them. And make sure that you're kinder to yourself and others. Thanks for all your time and your love and support. I'm so grateful. Be fun, have safe, keep evolving. Bye.